You are listening to Life's a Vacay podcast, a weekly podcast series focusing on living a life without limitations. I'm your host, Cha Jones. Each week, I interview purposeful people about what they do and how they do it. Some have traditional professions, while others have designed unconventional careers. But what matters most is that they all are living a life where business and pleasure never separate. Each day is a vacay. So let's get started. So hey Wendy, how you doing?
Good. And you?
I'm well. I am well. I'm hot, but I'm well. I want to thank you for answering the call to do my podcast today. And so for everybody who doesn't know, if this is your first time tuning in, my podcast is really about living on purpose. And I call it Life is a Vacay because I personally live a life where the lines are blurred between what I do for a living and how I show up and live my life. The lifestyle that I have, I've created it based off of what I truly love to do, which is leisure. I just like to live, and I don't really like to color within the lines. And so I really wanted to highlight those people that I know or that I have met who have similar lifestyles. And I am so glad that you answered the call because you have a very similar life. Yes. You are location independent. So for those of you who do not know what that means, it just basically means that she can live on her own terms, go where she wants to go, and that she does not have a permanent residence. And they call those people nomads back in the day, but we're going to go with this beautiful title, location independent.
I love that sound.
So tell us, Wendy Wonders, how did you become location independent?
Oh, it started since I was in high school. I had the vision of just me traveling all over the world, be immersed in the culture of wherever I stay and staying as long as I want to stay and leaving when I feel like leaving. So having this dream, I don't know, I just put into place. But what really sparked it is 2020. We all know what happened then. And my husband and I was getting ready to, because we met actually on a travel assignment. I have a background in traveling nursing, and we met 2 years prior to getting together. But I say this to say that we have the same goals of living a nomadic, quote unquote, lifestyle. So when 2020 hit, we were actually preparing to get an RV and traveling the world. But as you know, when you start looking at YouTube University, you get other ideas. So I started seeing people living in Bali, Thailand. I'm like, we're going to Bali. So I'm like, let's just revert and get out of the US because it's wild right now. And let's move to Bali. Of course, when you have plans where they say God or universe laughs at you. So I ended up in Mexico. But it all started with the idea and having clarity what I wanted my life to be like, how I wanted to design my life. And then I had the intention behind the energy with the plan, and I stuck to it. So everything that did not match up to that plan, we did not entertain it at all. So when it was time to go, people was like, wow, y'all really serious about this thing. And it's been actually a year this month.
Well, wonderful. That sounds amazing. So just so that my listeners, I understand what you're saying because I have a very similar story and lifestyle. But for those who are new to this, when you say location independent, what does that really entail for you? So do you have a home, period, or no home, and you just basically have a storage? How you explain to us how's that work for you?
Got it. So right now, we do not have a home. We do not have a car. And mind you, we do not have children yet. But my in-laws stay in South Carolina, which I am right now, and that's where our suitcases are. We still don't have a lot of things, but we have winter and summer clothes. So our suitcases are in South Carolina with the in-laws. And then that's when we kind of collect and plan where our next steps are. So no home, no car, just our stuff is in South Carolina. Touch base, see family, and we out.
Free. That sounds like freedom.
Complete freedom.
So for this to work, you have to have a partner who is on the same accord. So
100%.
what does your partner do for a living?
He does trading online, and that's like Chinese to me. I don't understand it. I do not want to understand it as long as it brings the money. So the so the trading, he can do it for maybe a couple of hours out of the day, and then he's done.
Okay.
And that's it.
All right. Now you are a nurse and you do traveling nursing. How does that work? How do you get your assignments? How do you determine how long you're going to work? And basically, how does one get into traveling nursing where it will work for you in this situation?
Got it. So one, if you want to become a travel nurse, you have to have experience because literally you are filling in the holes that they have in regards to staffing. So I would say have at least 2 years of experience. So I come of 20 years of experience in pediatric nursing. So what you will do is you fill out a profile and put up your resume to different agencies that have contract with different hospitals. So literally, I'm on Facebook groups. I have multiple profiles with multiple travel agency, and then I'll literally pick where I want to go. And then I'll put my application in, and then they'll tell me yes or no. But I never gotten turned away from a travel job, because the demands are high.
Okay. Now, is this in a specific region, or are you just pretty much throughout the world, or just locally in the United States?
Well, locally in the United States, my mom right now, she's in Guam and she loves it. I got her to be in this lifestyle too. Okay. I'm like, Mom, you're retired, quote unquote. So she's in Guam. But me, I basically travel within the United States. My philosophy is if I'm going to stay in the United States, I need to be getting paid to go to a certain location. So if I want to visit my family back in Miami, I need to find a travel agency or just focus on my coaching business or what have you. But just in the United States, they have some in California. I've been to Texas a couple of times. I do want to go to Alaska. So I living this lifestyle really it puts me in the driver's seat of my life. Really, where I get to choose how and when I want to work. Because as a nurse, you're burnt out most of the time. And especially after, COVID, you're working hard. So that's what really sparked it is I took a travel agency assignment in Houston during the COVID crisis assignments. And those are big contracts. So I just put my head down. I worked 6 days a week for 8 weeks.
Only one day less.
Girl. Yes, imagine 12-hour shifts for 8 weeks, 6 days out of 7 days. And I did that for 8 weeks. But at the end of it, I was off. I was off for almost a year. So
wow.
Yes, you make your job your hustle.
Okay, that's amazing. And it takes dedication, number one, for that to work, because sometimes people don't have the foresight and the stamina to make something like that work. So kudos to you. Now, you mentioned that you also do coaching. Let's talk about that. So you are a manifestation coach and you help support women, primarily women, manifest the lives of their dreams. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so throughout my whole life, I've always been the one to, I guess, motivate someone to look past their self-doubt or fear and kind of encourage them that you deserve the lifestyle that you need to live. And being a manifestation support coach is basically a title that others gave to me because I'm business-minded and I'm a highly spiritual person. And I wanted to kind of marry those two together. And so I literally asked my friends and family, like, if you're in a room, what would you recommend me to that person? And they said, like, manifestation and goal setting. And so that's what I do. Most people between 35, 45, they've been working at their profession for a long time. They want to change. They feel stuck. They don't know they have a lot of self-doubt, lack of confidence. And so I'm there to teach you how to manifest, because everybody can do it. And just have the tenacity and the focus to go towards that goal, because you can have anything and everything that you want, but it's a shame that most people don't even realize it. So I'm there to give you a push and support and guidance, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I've been manifesting my whole entire life, so I totally understand. And I think a lot of times people don't tap in to their own inner wisdom. And that's what it really takes. And it takes you to be able to visualize the opportunities you want to see. So let's talk a little bit about how you have manifested this life where you are destination independent. You can just pretty much pack your bags and go wherever you want to go. So with that being said, what are some of the downfalls to this lifestyle, if any?
Oh, you have to plan. I'm a planner. Some people like to backpack and all that. I like to plan. It might not be a downside. I would say it's a downside because it could be stressful, but that's the stressful I'd rather have than being a nurse, a staff nurse. That would be one of the downsides. Maybe not speaking the language at the location I am located at the time, but that will come within time. So that's a tricky question, child.
I didn't say it was going to be easy. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my God. I mean, some people will say, they become homesick or whatnot, but we do things to implement that we don't have that homesickness a lot. Like we have a digital frame that we share within our family to upload pictures. We talk to them often. I mean, the downside is coming back to the United States.
I know that too. But I mean, let's just talk about it. Because, so for me, and now I'm about to go off into astrology for a second, for those who don't know that I know. So I have my south node is in Taurus, which I am a Taurus, and then my north node is in Sagittarius, I want to say. So anyways, I just know this part is that, so my life is to move from stability into the world of being able to be more free and more flexible. But I am actually a Taurus. So it makes it a little difficult because even though I really like, and I am a planner, but I'm not, because I foresee my whole entire life. I just want it to kind of move in chunks. But
right.
But for me, it's hard to give up that stability because my being is Taurus, right? And so I want some of the luxuries and I want some of the attachment. But for you to live a destination independent life where you just be free and go where you want to go, do what you want to do, that means that you have to be detached from things. And that's very difficult for a lot of people because a lot of people like possessions, like, having pictures, having clothes. And how did you get to the place of being able to detach where you can live out of your suitcases and not worry about the frame that we box ourselves into?
Talking about astrology, that has a big thing to do with it. Because we always, me and my husband we're like twins. My birthday is June 25th. His is June 27th. So we both are Cancers. And we dove deep into astrology, looking into our life path number and also our birth chart. And in our birth chart, in our life path number, it says travel, 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 travel. So really, this is something that I've been like my whole life. I'm not into designer things. I mean, I'm wearing like a shawl I got from Oaxaca, Mexico, and I wear it almost every day. So it's not the things that we have. It has to mean something. And that's what we carry with us. And we put more weight on experiences instead of things. So us traveling and people seeing that we're living our life and our vision, they're living their life and theirs. Cause they say, oh my gosh, how they ask themselves that, how do you just give up material things? How can you? And then they start thinking about like looking at their stuff, like this doesn't mean anything. This doesn't mean anything. So for me, it's tricky because it's in my DNA to be a nomad, to be a black hippie, to be a black mermaid, it's in our DNA. So one thing I'll say to people who have the urge to travel and live this lifestyle, it's probably in your DNA. And really explore that, and then make a list of things that's important to you, really important to you in your life, and things that's not important to you. And then most of the time, the things that's important to you, you can take with you, because home is not the location. Home is really where the heart is.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I can get with that. And the reason, I mean, I'm a Taurus / Gemini, so I can feel the travel piece, and Geminis are great travelers. However, I know that there are a lot of people who just need stability, right? You just need to have their feet firmly planted on the ground. And for a long time, people would say, even, I just literally had a child 3 years ago last week. So for a long time, people would just be like, when you going to settle down? When are you going to get your feet planted? And I would be like,
oh gosh, yes, I hear that too.
Means. But tell us about some of the things that you hear people say to try to sway you from this lifestyle.
Just that. My in-laws, she says it all the time, when you going to get some roots? When you going to do that? And I'm like, part of our dream is to have properties all over the world where we could just go. And that's our roots. Because those who get it. And those who don't. Because most of the time people are planted for how we find stability is we keep the same habits and same schedule.
Okay.
So, we meditate, we journal, we try to keep the same thing. We like outside. So when we find our accommodations, when we travel, it has to have 3 things. It has to have good Wi-Fi, has to be walkability, because we like to walk. It has to have a patio or somewhere, because we literally live outside. So that's stable for us, because my husband says it all the time. We do the same shit everywhere we go. We chill outside on the porch like old people. Okay. And we occasionally go out and we do the same thing. So to us, that's home. That's planet. As long as we with each other, we have higher conversations. I mean, down the line, it might change. We're open for that. And down the line, my dream is to have a place in the woods, with nature and all that. But that's why we're traveling, to see where we want to go. But I'll just say, who knows? And sometimes people they say stability, but for me, it's redundancy.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it feels to me. So it's like, if you really like this, if you're called for this lifestyle, it's probably in your DNA. And those that want a house, there's different ways to travel. You can still have your house and travel once a month, or, put it on Airbnb when you're not there. There's ways you could do it. So just determine how you want to travel, what you're willing to give up and what you're willing not to give up, and then go from there. If that answered the question.
Hey, I say whatever floats one's boat, do what is best for you, because you only get one life. And that's Amen. Really why I started this podcast, is because I know so many people who are living their best life, and it does not fit in a box. We all have different dreams. And I think a lot of times we have people who are miserable because they've tried to fit in other people's boxes that don't fit them. And then, they get stuck. So let's talk a bit about the wonderful things that can happen by living this life. So tell us, what have you gained or been able to experience being able to be more free and live outside the confines of a box?
Ooh,
how has that helped you?
Freedom. Freedom to discover who I am. Freedom to discover who I like, seeing myself in other people, because I truly believe that we're all connected in a higher consciousness. And every time I talk to somebody or I meet someone, I see myself in them and I feel the love for them. And it just gives me the freedom to do that, to learn new cultures. I mean, the world is ours, the whole world. Just because you're born in one place doesn't mean that you need to stay there your whole life. It's just, it's true freedom. That's what I've experienced. Tasting new foods, being scared, being like laughing when people, you don't even understand what they're saying because you're speaking another language. Have friends in Egypt, have friends in Mexico, have friends in, Tanzania. It's true freedom that no amount of money or, I mean, bliss.
I love it.
This
So
bliss.
you just named a couple of different places which you have lived in. So tell us a little bit about those places. So you've lived in Egypt, you lived in Mexico. Where else have you lived?
Where else? So Mexico, we was in Mexico for about 9 months, and we lived in Playa del Carmen, Oaxaca, and Querétaro. And I just love Mexico. It's calling me. I can't wait to go back. And then I came back to the States, worked in Houston a little bit, and then came right back out. And we went to Egypt. And I do have a stepson. He's 13 now. Oh my gosh. And we took him to Egypt for a whole month. And we spent time in Cairo, Luxor, and Aswan. And then after we went to Tanzania so we can do a safari and all that stuff. So those places, just being able to take my bonus son across the seas and seeing him interact with Egyptian children, not knowing the language between it's freedom. It teaches him culture. It's teaching, and it's so fun because he knew that we were going to Egypt, so he was preparing for it, like what kind of food we can have while we're there. What is the culture over there? So it's really making a person well-rounded, and I would do anything to keep this going.
Well, that is
Almost anything.
I think you're on the right track to making that happen for you. So talk a little bit about how, or I guess some of the things that you have learned during your travels. What are some of the things that have stuck with you and that you take along with you on your journeys?
Ooh, don't take life for granted. And I say this because our trip in Egypt, where we was in Cairo, don't take life for granted and always follow your gut and intuition. And this is what I'll say that. Long story short, I want to keep it short for you. I was outside the porch. I woke up earlier than I normally do, put on clothes, stretching like I was preparing for something. And I heard a mom and her two daughters just playing in the pool, just enjoying themselves. And when you're hearing someone laughing and just in bliss, and you're like, you feel like you're part of it and you're taking in the energy, you're laughing too. So that what I was experiencing. As soon as I went back into our apartment, I heard a scream. Needless to say, the little girl drowned, and I looked and they were doing the CPR wrong. So my husband like, you gonna go there? And I'm like, yes. I ran down, performed CPR. And mind you, I never had to do CPR in a hospital setting. And because if a child is declining, you have a rapid response, like a team that will come and, do emergency care. So literally I'm faced with like my worst nightmare, and she's about 3-4 years old, and I performed CPR. And she revives and she looks at me and she reached her hands out to me. And that moment, I'm like, oh my gosh. And the mom is hugging and crying. And I'm like, I'm so glad I wasn't there because we were supposed to go somewhere else that day. And it's like, you can't, no matter where you are, people are people. You don't take life for granted. And even though we're not alike, we are alike in so many ways. That's what I've learned. That's the story that sticks with me. And when things happen, goes left, you keep moving because it's going to happen wherever you go. Because I've been in accidents overseas and everything, and people's like, oh my God, you should come back home. No, it's gonna happen wherever you go. So my biggest lesson is we're even though we're not alike, we're from different countries, we are the same, and don't take life for granted because you never know.
Well, thank you for that. give us 3 things that really help you, or 3 things that you would suggest to help someone else who wants to live a destination independent life.
1, prepare financially, save up money, and also back up what you want to. So 1, prepare financially, and also think of other ways to make money while you're away. So either a remote job, pick up a skill from Skillshare or something like that, and make money digitally. 2 is be mentally prepared. Prepare your mind of where you're gonna go, what might happen, and educate yourself on the culture there, because you don't want culture shock. And 3 is be open. I'm trying to think of things that you can't find like in YouTube, like here's a step to move as a nomad. Because some people don't prepare you for like the mental stuff. So financially, mentally, and be open. The 3rd one, be open to live this lifestyle. We were planning to move into Bali. I haven't been to Bali yet. Because we got derailed to Mexico, and I love Mexico. So be open. I mean, there's always time to explore other places. So those are my 3 things. I hope it works and helps.
Yes, it's been a joy to talk to you. So also, I want people to know how they can get in contact with you. So if you're looking for a manifestation coach or somebody who just really wants to use your services, how would they be able to reach you?
Yes, so you can go on my website. It's evolutionofwe.net, evolutionofwe.net, or Instagram. It's evolution_of_we. So you'll find me. I'm Wendy Wonders. It's evolution_of_we. Somebody took my name on Instagram, but that's all right.
That's all right. You got to improvise.
Yeah, right. I'm also on YouTube. I'm going to add more videos on there. It's the Evolution of We on YouTube. So thank you for having me, Chai. It was so fun.
No, it was a pleasure to have you. And I want to be able to talk to you again. So I want people to be able to reach out to you. I hope that they do. You have an amazing story, and everybody cannot do this, right? But those who have a desire to, I think that you should follow your gut and figure it out, and then use her as a resource. So thank you again for joining me. Again, everyone, I am your host, Chai Jones. If you like the show, please make sure that you like it, subscribe. Also leave a comment. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. Tell us what we can talk about next. I always look at the suggestions and find my next guest. So until then, keep it real. Always remember that you can do anything that you so choose. Until next time, remember always to find time to live and express your own freedom. You have been listening to Life's a Vacay podcast. Thank you for tuning in today. Every day you have a choice, so choose yourself and never allow your circumstances to dictate the life you live. Whatever you don't like, you can change. Remember, nothing happens overnight, but know that when you set goals and take inspired action, whatever you desire can come in perfect timing. Never give up on creating the life you deserve. Don't anticipate your next vacation when you could be living a whole life on vacation. Until next time, I'm your host, Chai Jones. Please remember to like and share this podcast so that others can be inspired. Peace.